Great, so that's X-ray goggles. Let's take a look at something else. Next tool I want to talk about is called Thimble. And this is also dealing with web pages. And let me show you that. So this is the interface. This looks a lot like something you would see like CodePen or JSPen, something like that. And how I typically explain this to a student is that this is a web page on your right hand side. This is a web page, and on the left side in this pane is the code version of that web page. This is the code that makes up that web page. And so you can see there's a little bit of syntax highlighting here. If I just click on a tag or a closing tag, I get these little orange bubbles, and it'll tell me, it'll give me some information describing that element. This is a paragraph element. It represents a paragraph. Things like that. You can dismiss it. Learn about the body tag. Give you some info there. Can only be one body tag per document. So that's great. And so the first thing a student will probably do is he'll be curious, if I change this text, what will happen? And that's the idea. You can change anything on the left side and it'll be previewed, it'll be shown on the right side. And you can just type freely. Unlike in X-ray goggles, you can just add new tags as you're familiar. Something like that. And if you have a syntax error or a semantic error, you're going to get these red boxes. And you can just click this just like the info bubble, and it's going to give me some information here. It's going to say, hey, the closing body tag doesn't match with an opening H1 tag, and it'll give you a nice hint. This is likely due to a missing close H1 tag. So if a student is familiar with a tag but maybe not familiar with the convention of what a close tag is, this is a good refresher, a good hint as to what the problem might be. And the student would know then just to go in here and just type that H1 tag. And you're going to see the error appear on the preview side. At least sometimes you will. And you can just close that tag. And that's the idea. It's just kind of an editor, and you can see things previewed. And you could save this, and it'll actually save it to a collection of makes that you have stored on webmaker.org. And you can just hit save, things like that. And just like in X-ray goggles, it's going to give you a URL to your full page that you've created. And you can share that URL on all the usual channels. But the fun doesn't stop there with Thimble. If you go back to webmaker.org, all of these resources down at the bottom can be what's called remixed. So let me find one of my favorites. This is a popular one, the movie poster. So this is going to open up in the Thimble interface, or it's going to open up, and I have this option to remix it. So this is a web page. Got some things going on there. This is probably an H1. I don't know, maybe this is an H2. Other things, maybe block quote. Let's see. Let's remix this. And this is going to open up in the Thimble interface now. We're going to see the code, and we're going to see a preview of it. So here's the code, and then here's the preview. And I can change it just like before. In this little pane over here to the far left, this is a tutorial, and this is really useful because this is like a lesson right here in the box. The students get a list of tasks that they should complete to complete this activity. And so the first task is change the movie title and subtitle. Well, it looks like the title is called The Sunset. So if I'm a student, I'm going to scroll through here. I'm going to look for something called The Sunset. Oh, here it is. Oh, and look, it's inside of an H1. I remembered that H1 is one of the more important elements on the page. So you can change this, you can make it something more optimistic, and you can just change anything on the page, and it just keeps going. For the students who are more curious, you can edit the styles. You've got colors here, which a student won't understand at first glance, but you know, there's definitely a lot to introduce here. If you want to go into the color values and what all that means, you've got plenty of CSS here to tinker with, plenty of numbers you can add and change, things like that. I want to make the text, change that around. So that's just terrific, and you know, you just got a lesson right here in the box, and when you're done you can just save it and that'll publish it on the web on webmaker.org.